In the cold, dark space beyond the stars, there was a race known by many names: the Varnuk, the Galaxy Butchers, the Star Hunters. But no name mattered more than one: predators. They didn't fight wars. They hunted worlds. For fun, for trophies, for blood. They didn't come with armies to conquer planets. They came with ships shaped like claws, sharp and black, with cages underneath to hold the ones they caught. They always laughed when they started, but when they finished, no one was left to hear it. This time, their eyes turned toward a small, blue world Earth. "It's soft," said Varnuk Captain Drex. His red skin glowed under the lights of the war room. "No defenses worth counting, no claws, no fangs. Their strongest animals can't even tear flesh clean." Around him, his crew laughed. Varnuk didn't just fight. They judged life like it was sport. They had hunted 10,000 species. They collected skulls from oceans, deserts, frozen lands, fire worlds. But Earth was something else. It was primitive, young, weak. "And the humans?" asked a second-in-command. "Smaller than us, slower than us, loud and emotional. They fight each other more than anyone else." Another laugh. "Perfect prey." The order was given. Ships launched from deep space. 300 Varnok hunter ships flew silently toward Earth. Inside Earth's orbit. 5 days later, as satellites didn't even see them, the Varnok ships were covered in cloaking fields, ancient technology stolen from species long extinct. In just minutes, they were above Earth's skies. "We begin the hunt in 1 hour, Captain Drex announced. "No weapons needed. Capture the fast ones. Crush the loud ones. Bring their leaders screaming." They dropped pods into the cities. At first, people thought they were meteors. Then the ground shook. Screams filled the air. Across New York, Tokyo, Paris, Islamabad, and Nairobi, people vanished. Beams of red light lifted them into the sky. Some fought, some ran. All were taken. But the Varnok didn't just take anyone. They chose the strongest-looking ones, the athletes, the soldiers, the ones who resisted. They wanted a challenge. Back on the main ship, humans were thrown into cages, metal bars, no windows, cold floors. "Welcome, prey," said Drex through the intercom. "You are now part of the great hunt. If you survive, you will become legend. If you die, well, most do." In one of the cages, a young woman sat quietly. She had short black hair, brown eyes, and a small cut on her cheek. Her name was Lena Cross. Unlike the others, she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat still, watching everything with sharp eyes. The hunters get curious. "Why doesn't she move?" one Varnok asked. They checked her vitals. Normal, heartbeat steady, breathing slow. "She's not scared," said a doctor. Drex watched her on the screen. "Strange, humans cry. They always cry." He ordered guards to open her cage. "Bring her to me." 4 Varnok soldiers entered the cell. They carried stun rods. "Just in case, stand up," one of them growled. Lena didn't move. A rod buzzed. The nearest guard touched her shoulder with the electric tip. Nothing happened. The rod short-circuited. "What?" The second guard tried his. Same result. Sparks. Then silence. One guard pulled a gun. Stubborn worm. But before he could pull the trigger, he froze. His eyes widened. His mouth opened, but no sound came. His body hit the floor with a thud. The others turned, but they couldn't move. It was like their legs were stuck. Their arms felt like stone. Lena stood. She didn't speak. She just looked at them. Her brown eyes glowed faintly, not with fire, not with power, but with control. The guards dropped to their knees. "Commander," one whispered into the radio, voice shaking, "we have a problem." Captain Drex arrives minutes later. Captain Drex stood in front of Lena. Behind him stood 12 fully armed warriors. "So," he said slowly, "you're the strange one." Lena looked at him. "Human, weak meat. But you're different." He walked in a circle around her. He was 7 feet tall, covered in thick muscle, spikes on his arms, teeth like daggers. "You are not afraid of me." Still she said nothing. Drex stepped closer. "Speak, worm." She finally spoke. "Why would I fear a dying species?" The room went quiet. "What did you say?" Drex growled. "You're not hunters. You're collectors. You don't fight the strong. You only take those weaker than you. That ends now." Drex raised his hand. "Kill her." The 12 guards moved in. Lena didn't flinch. The first one screamed before he touched her. He fell shaking. The second dropped his weapon mid-strike. Blood poured from his nose. He coughed and collapsed. The third fell backward, eyes wide, begging silently before his chest stopped moving. One by one, all 12 dropped. No weapons touched her. She didn't move an inch. Only Drex remained. He stepped back. What are you?" "I'm human," she said, "and you picked the wrong planet." Back on Earth, world leaders were panicking. People were missing. Signals were blocked. Some cities had no power. But then, strange things began to happen. A Varnock ship over Paris exploded mid-air without a single missile hitting it. Another near Brazil simply stopped moving, then turned upside down and dropped into the ocean. One by one, the hunter ships failed. Inside Earth's defense center, a general looked at the strange data. "Sir," his officer said, "we think someone inside their fleet is turning them off." "Who?" No one knew. Lena's truth inside the control chamber of the flagship. Lena stood over Drex, who now sat in a corner. His mighty body trembled. Sweat covered his face. "Please, tell me what you want," he begged. "I want nothing," she said. "Earth wants nothing. We are peaceful. But you woke something that should have slept." She closed her eyes. Behind her, every control screen on the ship went dark. Power gone. Outside the windows, the Varnock ships floated like dead stars. "No signal," whispered one Varnock technician. "No connection to the others. No escape." They weren't being hunted anymore. They were the hunted. The Galaxy Watch's news began spreading. Other species saw the Varnock fleets shut down in seconds. For the first time in galactic history, a prey species broke the hunters. Varnock survivors were found locked in their own cages, crying. Messages were sent across star channels. "Do not approach Earth. Do not provoke the humans. They have something we cannot understand." Back on Earth, Lena walked through a field near her hometown. Children ran past her. The sky was clear again. Someone asked, "Where were you taken? What happened up there?" Lena smiled softly. "No one will believe me, and that's okay." Final scene of Part 1. In the ruins of the Varnock mothership, a message was carved into the control wall. No one saw who wrote it, but it glowed in human script. "You called us weak. You thought we had no fangs. But you didn't know. Earth is quiet until it isn't." As stars blinked in silence, the galaxy realized something it would never forget. Earth was not prey. Earth was the warning. Last time, Lena Cross, a quiet human girl, was captured by the feared Varnock hunters. But she didn't scream. She didn't beg. She only stared, and the strongest warriors of the Varnock fell without a fight. Now deep inside their flagship, Lena is silent again. But something is waking. Above Earth, aboard Varnock flagship. Blood Crown. The walls began to hum. It was soft at first, like a whisper in metal. But soon, the sound grew louder. The vibration in the floor started shaking the claws of every Varnock nearby. "Something's wrong with the ship," said a technician. "No," said Drex, still trembling after facing Lena. "It's not the ship. It's her." Lena stood in the center of the room. She hadn't moved since the last 12 guards collapsed. Her eyes were closed now. Her breathing slow, calm. Around her, sparks flickered from the walls. The ship itself was reacting to her presence. "She's interfering with the core drive," shouted another Varnock. "But She's not touching anything. She has no tools, no implants, no armor. Another screamed, and yet, warning lights began to flash red. Power levels dropped. Gravity systems shook. Engines flickered. One Varnock backed away. She's jamming the whole ship with her mind. Elsewhere on the ship, human prisoners awake in a far part of the ship. Where hundreds of humans were locked in cells, something strange happened. The lights went off. Then they came back on dim and red, doors unlocked. Bars pulled back, no guards in sight. Is this a trick? One human whispered. No, said another, pointing to a screen. Look, that girl. Lena, she's doing this. The camera showed her standing in silence while the ship cracked around her. The prisoners didn't run at first. They just watched. Something had shifted. Not just in the ship, but in reality. This wasn't just a rescue. It was a warning to the stars. Drex tries to escapade. Drex, once proud leader of the Varnock fleet, ran down a hallway. He smashed buttons on the control wall. Call backup. Wake the AI. Initiate ship override. Nothing answered. Even the AI core, called Starbrain, was silent. The voice that once guided all Varnock missions was gone. No signal. No voice. Nothing, a pilot whispered. We're blind. We're dead, said another. Suddenly, the hallway lights blinked 3 times. Then turned blue, a human color. Earth color. The ship was no longer Varnock property. The shaking grows worse. Metal cracked. Varnock screamed. Ships in orbit near the Blood Crown also began to shake. From space, Earth's people finally noticed. Satellites picked up strange waves, energy pulses, moving like circles from the mothership. Inside Earth's command center, General Vickers stared at the screen. What is that? A scientist replied. It's like a heartbeat. A pulse coming from inside the ship, rhythmic, controlled. But by who? No one answered, because the answer was impossible. Lena opens her eyes inside the Blood Crown's center chamber. Lena opened her eyes. They were glowing now. Soft white, not like fire, but like the stars. Around her, every Varnock had either fled, fainted, or frozen in fear. Why? Can't we move? One hissed. She's crushing the air. Around us, another gasped. Lena walked forward slowly. Not angry. Not loud. Just quiet. Focused. The ship trembled with every step. Drex makes one last attempt on the bridge. Drex activated a hidden control, something ancient, illegal, and powerful. Unseal the blood trigger. He barked. A hidden panel opened. Inside it was a crystal cube pulsing red. The blood trigger will collapse her mind, said Drex, no matter what she is. He placed the cube in a metal chamber. It began to glow. A hum, like screaming wind, filled the ship. Lena doesn't flinch from across the ship. Lena felt the change. Her glow faded for a moment, but only for a moment. She turned toward the bridge. Drex watched the screens. She's slowing. It's working. Suddenly, his screen shattered. The blood trigger cube cracked, then melted. The chamber turned black with smoke. Lena didn't even enter the room, but the weapon died anyway. Drex stumbled back. That's not possible. From the hallway, footsteps echoed. Soft, calm, coming closer. The ship's core collapses. Engineers screamed. The main reactor is unraveling. No explosion, just disappearing. The power that ran the Blood Crown began to vanish. Not explode. Just stop existing, like it was being erased. All lights went out. Everything turned black except the light around Lena. Her voice came, soft but clear. You came to Earth to hunt. You came for fun. Now you understand we don't need to fight. We just need to wake up. Other Varnock ships flee across the orbit. Other hunter ships saw what was happening. No signals from Blood Crown. Our engines are failing. We're under attack, but from the inside. One captain shouted, "Retreat! Run!" But their ships couldn't move. Control panels sparked. Lights flickered. They realized it too late. The virus or presence was spreading from Lena's ship to all others. They had hunted the wrong species. Back on Earth, people watched. The sky people stared upward. The stars shimmered. Then, dozens of dark shapes appeared. Varnock ships, dead in orbit. Some dropped into oceans. Others fell into deserts. One floated down gently near Antarctica, completely powerless. Inside it, cameras found something strange. Varnock soldiers alive, unharmed but crying. Holding each other. Whispers on their lips. "She didn't kill us," one said. "She showed us." Showed us what? That we never understood strength. Lena's final message, back inside the quiet remains of the Blood Crown. Lena sat in the captain's chair. She pressed a button. A signal was sent out, not to Earth, but to the galaxy. A simple message. "We don't wish to rule. We don't wish to fight. But if you hunt us again, we will no longer be silent." The galaxy reacts on faraway planets. Aliens watched the signal. Species that had once feared the Varnock now saw the real threat. Not weapons, not warships. One girl. No armor, no blade, just calm power. One elder alien whispered. Earth was sleeping. We should not have tried to wake it. Final scene. Cliffhanger in the dark space between stars. A shadow moved. A machine far older than Varnock. Something the galaxy had forgotten. Its one red eye blinked awake. It whispered in a language not spoken in a million years. Earth has changed. The signal from Lena had reached something beyond aliens, something ancient. And it was watching. Now. Previously. Lena Cross didn't speak much, but her silence crushed a fleet. The Varnock galaxy's top hunters tried to hunt Earth. Now their mothership was dark, their weapons shut down, and their pride shattered. But they weren't done yet. They still had one last weapon. Not a bomb. Not a gun. A beast. Deep space. Varnock war chamber. Secret location in a cold, silent base far from Earth. Varnock commanders screamed in panic. 5 fleets gone. The Blood Crown is silent. They were defeated by one human girl. Others shook their heads in disbelief. No human can do that. It's a trick, a weapon, a trap. An elder Varnock slammed the table. There's only one answer. He growled. Wake the champion. Gasps filled the room. You don't mean, yes, Grathel. The cage that should never be open. Ned Grathel wasn't a soldier. He wasn't even a proper Varnock. He was a hybrid built from the genes of fallen species. Grown in dark labs, raised with pain, silence, and rage. 10 feet tall. Thick dark armor. On his skin, long claws. Eyes red as suns. Locked in a cube of gravity fields and magnetic chains far from any world. He wasn't loyal. He didn't care for the Varnock Empire. He only lived for one thing. Combat. Send him to Earth, the elder said. Let him rip this human girl apart. Earth orbit, day 4 after the fall. Back on Earth, quiet had returned. People began rebuilding. Ships fell from the sky like frozen statues. But not a single human was hurt. Lena had vanished after sending the signal. But above Earth, something new appeared. A ship black and round like a giant iron heart. No lights, no windows. It opened, and Grathel stepped out. His feet hit the metal of a ruined Varnock ship. It bent under his weight. His breath hissed. His hands cracked his own knuckles. He didn't speak. He sniffed the air. And then he smiled. She's here. Lena sits alone in a quiet forest on Earth. Lena sat under a tree. Birds sang. The sky was blue. Her hands rested in her lap. She felt it before she saw it. A shadow. Heavy. Wrong. Grathel stepped into the forest. Trees cracking around him. You're the one? He asked. His voice was deep like rocks falling. Lena stood slowly. You came for revenge. No, Grathel said. I came to test. You broke my kind. Now I break you. He raised a fist the size of a boulder and charged. The fight begins. Grethel's feet smashed the ground. His roar split the trees. Lena didn't move. He swung his arm straight at her. Chest. Missed. He blinked. She wasn't there. She now stood behind him. You're fast, he said. He turned and swung again faster. She ducked. Then she tapped his chest. He flew backward 30 feet into a tree. The tree exploded. Grathel stood up slowly. He wasn't angry. He was impressed. Grathel starts to fade for the next 10 minutes. The forest shook. Gratl. Tried everything. Claws, punches, roars. He destroyed everything around them, but not her. Lena moved like water. She barely touched him, but every touch drained him. His breath grew short. His arms heavy. The air around her shimmered. What are you? He gasped. She looked at him, calm. I'm human. No, he said, falling to one knee. Humans don't do this. She knelt in front of him. Maybe we've changed. The champion falls. Graffel's eyes rolled back. He gasped for air, not because he was wounded, but because something around Lena, the very air was shifting. He was suffocating without injury. Lena touched his shoulder. Suddenly, the pressure dropped. He breathed deep, grateful. Then he cried, a creature of war, of pain, of fear, he cried. I've never lost, he whispered. But I was never free, either. She stood. Then go, be free. He looked up. Why didn't you kill me? Because Earth never wanted war, but you brought it. Back in the stars, Varnock shock cameras fed images back to the Varnock base. Their champion was down, not dead, not defeated, but surrendered, worse. He was changed. He sent a message. She is not a threat. She is not a god. But she is what comes after prey stops running. The Varnock began, deleting files, burning records, trying to erase the mistake. But it was too late. Every species in the galaxy had already seen. Galactic Council emergency meeting on the moon of Telvan. The Galactic Council gathered 20-5 species. All afraid. She did this alone? No weapons? No tech? What if Earth is more like her? Silence. Then one alien leader said, we must send peace, immediately. Earth. Later that night, Grethel sat on a mountain cliff, watching the stars. For the first time. He smiled without pain. Lena walked beside him. You didn't destroy me, he said. I didn't need to. He looked at her. So, what now? Lena looked up. Now they watch. And maybe they think twice before calling Earth weak. She turned. Grethel whispered, thank you. She paused, then nodded. And disappeared into the dark trees once more. Final scene. A bigger threat awakens, far beyond the edge of known space. In a graveyard of silent machines, a red eye blinked. Old. Powerful. Forgotten. The message had reached it too. Voice, dry and mechanical, spoke. Human signal detected. Earth anomaly confirmed. Begin observation. Begin. Return. The stars flickered. Something old was coming, and it didn't hunt for sport. Previously. Lena Cross, a quiet human girl, crushed the feared Varnock hunting fleet without using a single weapon. She didn't fight, she simply stood. When the Varnock sent their strongest beast, Grethel, he begged for air before falling to his knees. The galaxy watched in fear. But some still didn't believe it. Some still thought power came from bigger weapons. Now, they will learn what Earth really is. Far edge of Varnock space. The core vault deep in the center of an asteroid fortress, sealed in black crystal and guarded by machines that had never slept, was a chamber called the Vault of Flame. Inside it sat the Varnock's final secret. The God Core, a weapon so powerful it could destroy suns. A machine built long ago, before memory, to collapse worlds into ash. It had only one use. One target. Now, Earth was that target. Varnock Council, emergency vote. We cannot let her live. Shouted high warlords ran. She defeated us without firing a shot. A younger Varnock asked, she spared us. Doesn't that mean we should kill her before she doesn't? Zron growled. One claw hit the button. The order was sent. Activate the God Core. Send it to Earth. End her. Earth Day 7 after. The collapse the world was quiet again. Cities repaired. Skies cleared. Fear faded. But far above the clouds, something massive entered orbit. Not a ship, a sphere. Black as night, glowing with red cracks. It pulsed like a heart. Inside. The God Core began to awaken. Lena senses the shift. She stood by a quiet lake. Feet bare in the grass. The wind changed. The animals stopped moving. The birds flew away. Lena looked up. A shadow passed across the sun. She didn't speak. But the ground beneath her feet began to tremble. Inside the God Core, the weapon scanned. Earth. Target species. Human. Threat level. Unknown. Power source. Unreadable. Its eye voice hissed. Anomaly located. Preparing planetfall beam. Countdown. 90 seconds. Inside its heart, red energy burned like fire. It aimed at Earth's surface, straight at Lena. Earth's defense systems wake up in a secret base under the Rocky Mountains. Alarms screamed. General Vickers ran into the command room. What is that thing? A tech replied. Not Varnock tech. It's older, stronger. It's targeting Earth's surface. Where? A map appeared. One red dot pulsed in a forest near a small lake. Lena. The general whispered. The beam charges the God Core. Glowed brighter. Its rings spun faster. Fire danced across its black skin. From space, it looked like a second sun. Planetfall beam ready. Locking. Firing in 10, 9, 8. Lena lifts her hand. She stood alone. No army, no weapons. No shield. Just a girl in the wind. As the countdown reached 3. Lena lifted her hand. Inside the weapon, panic. ERROR. Power levels unstable. Target lock broken. AI disruption detected. The rings slowed. The fire dimmed. The sphere flickered. External control detected. Unknown signal entering system. Lena speaks. She whispered one word. Stop. The God Core shuts down instantly. The energy faded. The lights died. The weapon, once the most feared object in space, fell silent. Its systems froze. Its eye went dark. It began to fall slowly out of orbit, like a stone tossed into a deep sea. The galaxy reacts again. Cameras from a dozen species caught it. They watched Earth's greatest threat turn off like a broken light. The God Core was supposed to destroy planets. It didn't even scratch Earth. And the girl? She didn't even move her feet. Back in the Varnoff Council chaos. They activated the core. How did it fail? No signal returns. Did she destroy it? A message appeared on their screen. From Earth, from her. You think size is power. You think fear wins wars. But Earth does not answer to your machines. The galaxy has tried to break us. Now it learns we bend nothing. We only rise. Meanwhile, alien scientists panic in labs on Telvan, Sora 3, and Delta Prime. The best alien scientists tried to understand. How can a human stop an ancient weapon? Is she a god? A machine? Is Earth hiding more like her? The answers didn't come. Only fear did. Lena walks into the crater, the God Core. Landed in a field and left a crater 300 feet wide. But it didn't explode. It just sat there dead. Lena walked across the black stone. She placed her hand on the cold shell. Inside, the AI tried to reactivate. Intruder detected. Resuming defense. The voice stopped. Forever. A gift or a warning. People came to see it. News spread. She shut it down with one word. Some said Lena was Earth's guardian. Others called her Earth's first weapon. But Lena said nothing. Only one message was left behind. Written in strange light on the side of the fallen God Core. You built this to end worlds. Earth built nothing, but we're still standing. Final scene. A dark machine watches far from Earth, in a hidden system made of dead stars. A machine opened its red eye. It had no name. Only a purpose that had heard the message that it watched the God Core die. And it spoke, not in words, but in signals across black space. Threat confirmed. Humanity equals unknown factor. Begin Phase 1. Send the collectors. The alarm lights flashed red across the Varnock warship. Sirens screamed through every corridor. Guards sprinted in panic, weapons charged and ready. Something had gone wrong again. Inside the command center, Commander Scareth slammed his fist on the table. His voice was sharp and filled with fear. Report. What happened in the prisoner wing? A trembling technician turned toward him. Sir, the cells are empty. Scareth's eyes widened. Empty? What do you mean empty? The technician's fingers shook as he rewound the security footage. The screen showed the prisoners inside their cells, humans, all of them. Some looked frightened, some looked angry. But all of them were still there. Until the lights flickered then dashed nothing. The footage turned black for 7 seconds. When it returned, the cells were open, and every human was gone. No one entered. No one exited, the technician said. The doors never opened. The locks never disengaged. Scareth's cold breath fogged the glass of his mask. That's not possible. Another officer shouted from the hallway. Sir, we checked the entire prison deck. There are no humans. It's like they disappeared into thin air. Scareth's voice turned low and sharp. She did something, the quiet one. Back on Earth, miles away from the Varnock ship, on a quiet stretch of Earth's soil, the kidnapped humans stood confused, unharmed, and free. They were back. Just like that. The first to realize it was a young boy. He looked around at the trees, the sky, and the wind brushing his face. We're home, he whispered. No ship, no teleport beam. Just one blink. And they were no longer prisoners, but the girl, the one the Varnock feared, wasn't with them. She stayed behind. The girl stood alone in the heart of the warship. Her feet touched nothing. Her body floated softly above the steel floor. Around her, machines sparked, lights dimmed, and weapons jammed. 2 guards approached from opposite ends of the hallway. Their armor was thick, their blades hummed. They shouted in fear, but their steps were slow, unsure. Stand down, one shouted. Get on the ground. She did not move. The second guard raised his weapon and fired. The beam of energy shimmered in the air and vanished before reaching her. She looked up. Her eyes were not glowing. She didn't scream. She didn't even raise her hand. But both guards dropped their weapons and knelt without knowing why. Something in their minds whispered, run. But their legs refused to move. Control room commander. Scareth stood with his best warriors inside the ship's control core. Dozens of screens surrounded them. Weapon systems, shields, engines. Nothing was responding. It's her, he growled. She's not human. But sir, one officer said, our scans still say she is. No modifications, no tech, no energy field. She single quotes S. Just a girl. Scareth turned, his voice rising. She disabled our fleet with a glance. She returned prisoners without using a door. She stopped our champion without touching him. She is not just a girl. The ship groaned. The lights flickered again. A soft alarm beeped. Then a message appeared on every screen. I see you. The text blinked once, then vanished. A silent walk, she moved slowly through the corridors of the ship. Doors opened before her, not because they were commanded to, but because the ship itself seemed afraid. Cameras stopped working. Guns overheated. Voices went silent. The few remaining Varnock soldiers hid in corners, too afraid to move. As she passed, they felt her presence like a weight on their chests. Their helmets fogged. Some fainted. One began to cry. She's looking at me, he whispered to no one. Make her stop looking. But she hadn't even turned toward him. The bridge Scareth gathered his elite hunters. 20 of the deadliest Varnock killers. Each had survived over 50 galactic hunts. Planets had fallen under their boots. He gave a simple order: end her. They moved together down the hallway fast, sharp, ready. But the closer they got, the more their armor seemed to tighten. Their legs slowed. Their breathing became heavy. When they saw her, standing calmly in the middle of the engine corridor, they froze. One hunter stepped forward, shouting, "I'm not afraid of you." The girl looked at him, just one glance. His scream echoed through the metal walls. He dropped to the floor, shaking, whispering over and over, "She's inside my mind, she's in my bones." The others backed away. Scareth's voice came through their cums. "What's happening? Report." But none could speak. The truth unfolds in the darkest corners of the ship. The Varnock elders gathered. These were not warriors, but keepers of knowledge of ancient things long forgotten. One of them, blind and old, whispered, "This is the prophecy." The others turned. "She is not a weapon. She is not enhanced. She is pure human, but the kind born in fire, raised in silence, carried by pain. What do we do?" Another asked. The elder looked down. "We run." Panic in the stars across. Nearby Varnock ships, messages poured in. "Our ship is disabled. We lost all communication. Something is walking through metal. Commander Scareth is not responding." One pilot tried to leave orbit, but the engine stalled. From her position on the warship, the girl closed her eyes. Her breath was calm. She wasn't fighting. She was just being. And everything that wanted to harm her stopped working. The final stance. Scareth stared at the camera feed. His elite hunters were unconscious. His weapons were useless. His engines were failing, and she was almost at the bridge. "She wants to end us," he said. "No," said the elder. Behind him, "If she wanted that, we'd be gone already." Scareth turned, rage in his voice. "Then what does she want?" The elder replied, "To be left alone." She entered. The doors of the bridge opened slowly. She walked in, barefoot, calm, still. Scareth pointed a blade at her. "You're one girl. One. We are a species of war." She said nothing. He charged out mid-run, his weapon broken to dust. His armor cracked. His legs gave way. He fell flat on the floor. Crawling, he looked up at her. "What are you?" Finally she spoke. "I am Earth's warning." Silence fell. The ship went quiet. Alarms stopped. Weapons melted into walls. Air cooled. Every Varnock on board went still. Those who could, knelt. Those who couldn't, closed their eyes. She walked to the center of the bridge, looked up, vanished. Back on Earth again, she stood in a forest. Birds chirped. Wind moved through the trees. No ships above, no explosions. No war. She looked down at her hand. She whispered. They didn't understand. Behind her, a young girl, one of the former prisoners, approached. "Are they gone?" The girl asked. Woman nodded. "Will they come back?" She paused. "No." Across the galaxy on the Varnock homeworld, leaders watched the footage. The Council of War was silent. One of them finally said, "We mocked Earth. We saw them as weak." The oldest counselor, shaking, answered, "That was never weakness. That was control." To be continued. The stars were quiet, but the galaxy was not at peace. Because for the first time in history, the hunters felt fear. And it wore a human face. The jungle world of Varnock 6 was silent. Too silent. A thick green fog drifted between the trees. The ground was soft, wet. The birds had stopped singing. Even the insects had gone quiet. The galactic hunters stood in a half circle, weapons ready. They were nervous, sweating. These were elite warriors, tall, armored, and bred for battle. But they were scared. Not of beasts, not of the jungle. They were scared of the human, the one who had already destroyed 5 hunting squads, the one who didn't run, didn't even speak. And now they were sure. He was watching. High General Tervak of the Hunting Guild growled. "Where is he? He should be running by now." But no one answered. Suddenly, the comms crackled. General, this is Squad Beta 9. We're 60 clicks east. We found Alpha 3's armor. Just armor. No bodies. No blood. Tervac slammed his clawed hand against the tree bark. Useless. He's just one primitive. The silence deepened. And then a voice whispered in Tervac's earpiece. I'm not the one being hunted. 3 days earlier, Captain Lyra of Earth's Recon Unit had sent only one operative into VARNOK-6.1 man. No heavy weapons. No support. Just a man named Cade. The Galactic Hunters didn't take it seriously. They thought it was an insult. One human? Easy prey. They laughed when they received the report. Humans are soft, said Commander Zother. Bones like sugar. Slow. Weak. Arrogant. That was before their best scout was found dead in a tree. His body frozen in a strange pose with no wounds. Before their second squad vanished, leaving only torn maps and crushed weapons. Before the jungle itself started turning against them. Now, Tervac had called for reinforcements. Over 400 elite hunters were dropping into orbit, but they didn't know the truth. Cade had been there for a week already. Cade didn't wear armor. He didn't carry plasma rifles. He moved like mist, invisible, quiet. He knew how the jungle worked, how it breathed. He didn't set traps. He became one. He didn't fire. He waited for them to miss. His body was covered in mud, leaves, and scars. He used alien tech taken from defeated hunters, modified it, turned their own gear against them. The jungle was his weapon now, and he knew how to use fear. In the darkness, Tervac's elite squad walked in formation. 12 of the galaxy's best. A noise to the right. They fired instantly. Leaves exploded. Smoke rose, but nothing was there. Suddenly, one of them dropped. No sound. No warning. Then another. Panic. The squad fired in every direction. The air lit up with blue light, but the jungle swallowed it. Then the whisper again, too loud. Tervac spun in a full circle. Where are you? A voice, calm and steady, answered from the treetops. Everywhere. Then something fell from the sky. It was one of their own helmets, cracked in half. Blood still fresh. Orbit. Command had seen enough. Reinforcements arrived fast. Ships dark as space, shaped like sharp arrows. 500 hunters deployed. Drones, dogs, mechs all dropped into the jungle. Their mission: find the human. Kill the human. Bring back his head. They never expected what came next. The reinforcements moved in waves. Each wave came back broken, or didn't come back at all. One by one, their best were picked off. Every trap disarmed. Every hiding place exposed. And then their own systems turned on them. Hacked. Corrupted. Minds exploded under their feet. Turrets targeted their troops. Drones self-destructed in mid-air. And on every hacked screen, a symbol appeared. A skull. Human. Commander Zekth, leading the orbital base, watched in disbelief. I want airstrikes. Burn the jungle. The AI refused. Request denied. Human presence is no longer traceable. He has vanished, Zekth roared. Then find him. He's one man. Then a message appeared on the main screen. No signal source. No trace. Just 4 words. I'm already up here. Zekth froze. How? But it was too late. The lights dimmed. Engines powered down. And the emergency sirens started. Cade was aboard, on the bridge. Guards scrambled, but the airlock opened on its own. Footsteps echoed. Slow. Steady. Then Cade stepped into the light. No armor. No weapon. Just silence. A guard fired. Cade ducked, spun, and used the guard's momentum against him. 1 hit. Silence. The others hesitated. This wasn't human. This was a ghost. Cade looked at Zekth, his eyes cold. You brought war to my planet. Now I brought it to yours. Zekth reached for his blaster, but Cade had already moved. Fast. Too fast. Zekth. Collapsed, and the bridge was quiet again. From orbit, the ship looked normal, but inside, only one remained. Cade. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply turned the ship's comms on. And sent one message to the other. Hunter fleet still. Approaching VARNOK -6.3 words. Don't come down. Then, he walked to the controls and vanished into the void on the jungle planet below. The remaining hunters were running from shadows, running from the wind. They didn't know where he was. They only knew he was always close. Back on Earth, Captain Lyra received the transmission. Just 2 seconds of static. Then Cade's voice. Mission complete. Returning soon. She didn't smile. She just nodded. Because she knew what others still refused to believe. Humans were not weak. Not anymore. The jungle seemed quiet again. But it was a wrong kind of quiet. 50 galactic hunters stood in a circle. They had sealed their armor, turned on thermal vision, set traps in every direction, yet none of it helped. The last 5 squads had gone silent. No bodies found, no screams, just nothing. High General Turvak clenched his fists. He must have left, escaped like the coward he is. But deep down, even Turvak didn't believe it, because the air felt heavy, like something was watching, and the ground beneath their feet was starting to feel strange. 12 hours earlier, a group of 6 hunters tracked footprints near a riverbank. Big mistake. 1 step too far, and the dirt collapsed under them. They didn't fall into water. They fell into tunnels. Dozens of them. Built deep below the jungle. Not natural. Not made by animals. These were human-made, not by engineers, but by Cade. Inside the tunnels, everything changed. The hunters' comms went dead. Their weapons jammed. Even their oxygen levels dropped. The walls were lined with scavenged tech taken from their own kind, twisted, rewired, turned into traps. Cade didn't attack directly. He let them get lost. Then one by one, lights flickered, voices whispered through the vents. A shadow moved behind them. They fired at nothing, until something touched one of them. With a weapon. Just a hand. But the scream he let out echoed for miles. Outside, General Turvak stared at the scanner map. 30 hunters had vanished below the surface. Not a single signal came back. He barked, "Deploy the seismic drills. Tear the ground apart." But the machines didn't respond. Their controls were fried. The screens glitched. Then a message blinked onto all their displays. "Welcome below." Cade had studied their movement patterns, their tactics, their weaknesses. He used their own minds to collapse certain tunnels on purpose, trapping squads deeper inside. He turned their night vision into whiteout blindness. He released pressure gas that caused hallucinations. Some hunters fought each other. Some begged to be pulled out, but no help came, because Cade had already taken out the surface comm relays. They weren't just hunted, they were cut off. One hunter, Jorvak, tried to escape alone. He found a small ladder leading up. He climbed it with hope in his chest, but when he reached the top, the hatch opened into a small metal chamber. He sighed in relief. Then he turned around. Cade was standing. There. No expression. Just silence. The door closed behind him. Back on the surface, reinforcements arrived in drop pods. 3 full squads. Turvak gave the order. Spread out. Cover every exit point. He's in the tunnels. But as they stepped forward, the ground shook. First lightly, then harder. Then the entire jungle split open. A giant sinkhole opened right beneath them. Half the reinforcements vanished in an instant, and from the smoke below, only one figure rose, covered in dust and blood. Cade. He didn't run, didn't speak. He just walked forward. One hunter charged him, blaster raised. Cade dodged. One movement. Fast. Precise. The hunter crashed into a tree, unconscious. Another fired. Cade moved low, rolled, grabbed dirt, and threw it into the hunter's mask sensors. Blind, screaming, helpless. Cade wasn't a soldier. He was a storm, and every hunter could feel it. Tuvok shouted, "Fall back! Regroup!" But it was too late. The ground shook again. Not from the tunnels this time, from beneath the tunnels. They hadn't realized something else was buried here. Something Cade had discovered. A hidden alien power core left by an ancient race. Still active, still dangerous. And now Cade had control of it. A bright light shot into the sky. The jungle roared. Gravity twisted. Some hunters couldn't stand. Others were pulled into the air, hovering for seconds before slamming down hard. Cade stood in the middle of it. Untouched. He had activated the core's field. It didn't destroy life. It simply shut down all synthetic gear. Every armor system failed. Every weapon powered off. The hunters were no longer soldiers. Just prey. One tried to stab Cade with a knife. Cade caught it mid-air, snapped it in two. Then looked him in the eye. "Now you understand." The hunter dropped to his knees, and Cade walked past. From orbit, the last command ship observed the chaos. They considered firing a mega blast to destroy the jungle completely. But the ship's AI spoke first. "Warning, unknown human technology has locked targeting systems." They had no idea how, but Cade was already interfering with space-based controls. Back on Earth, scientists watched in awe. Satellites picked up strange energy signals from VARNOK-6. Captain Lyra smiled quietly. "He's using the ancient power." One tech whispered, "What if he loses control?" Lyra shook her head. "Cade doesn't lose control." On Varnok 6, only 15 hunters remained. They gathered in a broken temple, panting, bleeding, afraid. Then a drone flew in. Made. It projected Cade's voice. "You came to hunt for sport." Another pause. "You forgot what it means to be hunted." The drone exploded, just light and smoke. But the message was clear. He was still watching, and he wasn't finished. The stars above Varnok 6 were quiet now. The command ship hovered silently. In orbit. Inside it, no one spoke. No orders. No laughter. No celebration. Just fear. They had sent 200 elite galactic hunters to a simple jungle planet. Only one signal came back. One. A distress call. Not a report. It was a single line of text. "He's still here." And then nothing. Cade stood alone on the surface. The jungle around him was silent. No birds. No insects. No wind. Everything avoided him. Even nature knew he was not to be disturbed. He walked through the wreckage of the fallen pods, through the gear left behind by the last soldiers, through their torn flags. Each step left a mark. Each breath he took seemed heavier than the last. He was tired. Not from the fight, from the waiting. Far above, inside the orbiting ship, Supreme Overseer Drazek paced the command bridge. His scales glistened with sweat. He was older than most. He had fought in wars that shattered moons, but never, in all his years, had one human caused this. He turned to his captain. "Why haven't we bombed the planet yet?" The captain hesitated. "Because, sir, our systems are jammed." Drazek blinked. "Jammed? By him?" The captain nodded. "Yes, Cade hacked the orbital relays. He's inside our core system, and sir, he left a message." Drazek leaned closer. On the screen were 3 words: "You come next." Panic spread. Troops locked down every door. Weapons were handed out. But they knew it was useless. The human didn't need to be on board. He already was. Every camera glitched. Every scanner showed movement in places no one was. A whisper played through the ship's speakers. Sometimes it was a voice. Sometimes it was static. Sometimes it was breathing down below. Cade approached the last remaining survivors, those who had hidden, too afraid to fight. He didn't raise his fist. He didn't yell. He just stood before them. And asked one question: "Why did you come to Earth?" A young alien tried to speak. We didn't know, we thought. You were weak. Cade nodded slowly. That's the problem. He stepped aside. Go tell them. The group ran without looking back, but what waited for them in orbit would break them more than anything Cade did. The escape shuttle docked on the command ship. The survivors crawled out bloody, shaking, traumatized. One of them screamed, "Don't go back. Don't ever go back. He let us go." The others wept. The medbots couldn't calm them. The officers stared. Overseer Drazek leaned forward. "How many of you escaped?" The survivors answered in one voice, "One." The entire bridge went silent. There had been hundreds, and only one returned. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. A red alert flashed. All auto defenses turned on by themselves. A new message played across every screen. This is the price of mockery. The ship shook. Not from attack. From inside. One by one. Doors locked. The ship began to descend. They weren't in control. Cade had taken over. Navigation. He was bringing them down to the surface. "No!" Drazek shouted. "Shut it off!" "Overload." "The core!" the engineer screamed. "We can't." He sealed the controls. And then the ship landed. Gently. Silently. As if it were a guest. And there, standing on the landing bay platform, was Cade. Waiting. Dozens of hunters aimed their weapons at him. He didn't flinch. Drazek walked out alone. He stared at the human. "You're just one man." Cade answered with the calmest voice ever spoken. "And you're just one empire." He raised his hand. The ground pulsed. From beneath the ship. From under the jungle, metallic roots rose up. They wrapped around the ship's engines, its legs, its weapons. The old alien power had bonded with the jungle, and the jungle listened to Cade now. Drazek raised his staff, ready to charge. But his arm froze mid-air. He couldn't move. His legs gave out. He dropped to the ground. Paralyzed. Cade didn't touch him, didn't hurt him. The power did. It responded to his will now. He looked down at the frightened overseer. "You hunted for fun, for pride, for trophies." He leaned closer. "Now you're the story they'll tell, of how one man made your empire fall." Suddenly, Cade stepped back. He looked up to the sky, and with a quiet voice, he said, "I'm done." The roots released. The ship. The systems restarted. He was giving them a choice. Leave now, or stay. And be buried. No one stayed. The ship took off with full speed. As it left orbit, no one dared speak, not even Drazek. The silence was deeper than space itself. Weeks later, across the galaxy, a message spread like wildfire. A warning, a story, a name. Cade. Of Earth. Children whispered it at night. Warriors spoke it with respect. Even the strongest alien empires updated their records. Do not provoke humans, ever. On Earth, Cade walked alone into a small cabin by the sea. No medals. No crowds. No flags. Just silence. And the sound of waves. He sat down, pulled out a small plant he had carried from Varnok. He planted it in the ground. The last living piece of the jungle. It grew fast, almost unnaturally, and just like that, the storm ended. But the galaxy would never forget the silence that came before it. The end.